We're gonna get started. For those of you who are still ordering drinks, don't worry about it. I'll be talking for about another 5 or 10 minutes before Alexis gets us going, but try to be quiet. So I want to just start by, this is not even slowly, rapidly become one of my favorite days of the year. This is the third iteration, or third quote-unquote operating year. And this gathering always feels so warm, and it's getting warmer and warmer as all these different communities are coming together. So thank you for that, and I want to thank Prospect Coffee House. This is the third year that we've had it here, and while there have been invitations to go to kind of bigger venues, I really love the community vibe here, and so this is going to be our home moving forward. So I also want to shout out that there's an event following ours. Dinner service will be here, and there are two singers, Sabrina Trueheart and Shannon Teya. Flyers over there, and as you saw it on the wall. Please stick around. The food at Pangea, which will be served here, is incredible. I want to give a shout out to our board, who have really helped the kind of mission of this become sharper and sharper as we move along. Arlette Hernandez, Timothy Murray, Brian Michael Murphy, who's here right now. I also want to take a moment to thank Ashley Yeager, who is the yoga practitioner who comes to the property to do yoga with our fellows throughout. This is her second year being a part of that project, and it's really helpful in just terms of grounding folks in the space, and kind of most importantly, Hillary Clark. Where are you, Hillary? And we know a dancer, a somatic body worker. Before fellows even started coming to the property, we sat down together to think about what the physical component of this would look like, and I would say each year of fellows has come away deeply appreciative of the time you spent with them, what this has meant to their relationship to their body, what it's meant to the relationship to their work. So I just really want to thank you for being a part of this from the very, very beginning. Talking about the very, very beginning, I want to thank Connie and the staff at Bat and Kill. Have been a supporter of the work we do, and the book table has kind of shifted every year, and this year it's kind of an iteration that is going to be here to stay, and that each of the fellows, so we have books from past fellows, a lot of books from BIPOC writers throughout the state, but I think most importantly, each of our fellows has an opportunity to shout out a handful of books that have been helpful, inspirational to them, and to give shine to their work. So I'll leave that to them. They'll, before they read, they'll give us a second to kind of shout out some of the work that's on that particular table. It's a kind of raise your hand if you are or have been a student of mine. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate this. It was kind of unexpected having folks come from afar. And my shout out goes to Joel, the first student that I met at my first tenure track job, who is an incredible poet and whose career is blossoming as we speak. His poetry is featured in Here to Stay, Poetry and Prose from the Undocumented, recently out from HarperCollins. So this is just a shout out to my appreciation for you as a human being, what you've done for our family, and me as a teacher and as a person, and I so appreciate it. All right, so this is ultimately our fundraiser where we interact with the community. So all the same students that raise their hand, this doesn't apply to you. I appreciate y'all being here, but this is for the community members. So, and there are a lot of new faces in the crowd. So the Outpost Foundation is an arts advocacy organization for emerging BIPOC writers from the United States and Latin America. It's situated on our 30-acre property in Shasberry, Vermont, and our mission is to identify and nurture a cohort of writers over the arc of their early careers, writers that have or are on the cusp of making important contributions to the language that describes and reframes our world. And I'll say the work we do is not particularly radical, and I mean that in that it is inherited from the intimate enclaves of care that have historically sustained Black creative life. And a legible guiding example for the work we do comes from Anne Spencer, the poet connected to what we understand now as the Harlem Renaissance. And so among the first African-American women to have their work placed in the Norton Anthology of Modern Poetry, it was Spencer's beautiful Lynchburg, Virginia home, replete with gardens, nourishment, and psychic safety that served as a refuge for Black intellectuals, artists, and activists as they made their ways to and from destinations further south. And so the work we are doing is committed to building itself as an example that can be duplicated, leading to more such enclaves throughout the US that are able to both take advantage of the lived environments and community resources, while also playing a role in developing the critical groundwork necessary for alternative locations, such as right here, to become desirable and vibrant communities for BIPOC individuals and families. And in our first 3 years, we've received support from, among others, the Rutland Area NAACP, the Vermont Humanities, the Vermont Community Foundation, and the Vermont Arts Council, and the Fund for North Bennington. And this is really just to name a few. We've also begun to attract the attention of donors on the national landscape that will go a long way to making this a sustainable project well into the future. And I'll say you, like this community, has played really a big role in this. For anyone that deals with grant writing, they really respond well to the fact of folks who are able to kind of like establish a grassroots support. And if you look at our website, outpostresidency.org, we list the community donors that have contributed to this, and that has played a large role in kind of the momentum that we've been able to support. So I'll say we have two types of fellows now. Our kind of mission is really solidified in the work we're doing. We have the Outpost Fellows in Residence. We invite 2 writers to the property in the month of September. For anyone, creative writers, who knows about the residency scene, unlike most residencies, they're paid to come here. Their travel is paid for. Their food is taken care of. All the services I talk about in relationship to yoga, in relationship to somatic body work, is taken care of at our expense. And I'll say last year with Nico, who you'll hear from later, now we've expanded this to the state of Vermont. So we work with one BIPOC writer from the state of Vermont who is also paid over the course of the year, where we do meet the writers where they're at, do anything we can from a mentorship perspective, a manuscript review perspective, and it's been really, really empowering. But I'll say, I believe, and we believe, and by we I mean the board and everyone kind of in this room, that so much of this work is about energy. And so we're blessed to have attracted the talent and really positive spirits of going back to the beginning with Stefan and Mariseu, last year with Bruno and Azine, and this year with the 3 of you, that have had a real impact on the space that they have inhabited, and of course that the others will benefit as they kind of enter this. So it's in this spirit of gratitude that we are here. And so I'm just going to get to the people we want to hear from. And first up is Alexis Aceves Garcia, is a writer, researcher, and visual artist living and longing in San Diego, California. Used to be. Now in New York. Their poems have been featured on Poets.org, The Slowdown, Bee Stung, Rivulet, the Hennepin Review, Peach Mag, the Best of the Net Anthology 2022, Apogee Journal, and the Breakbeat Poets Volume 4, Latin Next. Aceves Garcia has received fellowships from Jack Jones Literary Arts Catapult and Tin House Summer Workshops. They are currently working on a hybrid poetry manuscript that braids family, archival materials with linocut prints and poems about bratty boyhood, transtemporality, and desire. And the sample that we received from that knocked our socks off, and so be prepared for the same to happen. Alexis, come on up.
Thank you. Another round of applause for Ricardo. Y'all don't even know how this goes. Like, he didn't even really get into the ice cream part of this residency. Bernardo and I have shared ice cream from the Chocolate Inn. What is it? Chocolate Barn, sorry, not the Inn. That's their next project. Wild. We would just like silently be eating 3 different kinds of ice cream next to each other, watching Lord of the Rings. Anyways, Thank you so much, Ricardo. Thank you so much, Meredith. I've never been cared for like this by a residency, and I can't really put into words how, I don't know, how incredible it is to not have to worry about dinner each night and for snacks to come in at a certain time during the week and for us to be able to focus on our writing and our art. These kinds of affirmations don't happen all the time, and I really feel blessed and grateful to be here. And to also have been getting body work from Hillary every week. We just had some body work done earlier today, so if I'm a little bit like relaxed, that's why. Because I was in my head like, what am I gonna read? What's gonna happen? So just super grateful. I'm also grateful to Aaron over at Bennington who let me hang out in Robert Frost's house this week, and I'll read a poem from that experience. And then Melanie, who works over at MCLA, who opened her letterpress studio to me these past weeks, and I was able to make the biggest letterpress piece I've made, Time is a Silly Boy. It truly is silly, and this is the name of my manuscript in progress, so it's nice to have it around, just the language up and about. So I'll be selling these sliding scale from like $15 to $30 after this, and I know that if I don't mention it now, I will never say anything about it. So that is my whole speech about that. Okay, I left my phone over there. Babe, my partner also came here from New York. Babe, my merch boy, and my lover. Thank you. Just want to keep time because time is a silly boy. Alright, first poem, I wrote it in the Robert Frost house this week. I was just like, wow, I wonder if Robert Frost ever thought that like a trans boy would be sitting on his couch. And here I was, so it's definitely haunted for those that want to know. Not by Robert, by some other entities. So this is me trying to like conjure that. I'm like, okay, if you're gonna be around me, like let's write some poems. So this is called Sitting on Robert Frost's Couch. Dear Robert, which side of the couch is yours? I am not alone in this room. There is something restless, unfinished, an open armoire door, your love for Eleanor, trees, I worship them too, have felt the sacred in the spiral of a changed maple leaf. Grief is the longest and coldest season. You mourned your wife sitting here. Your daughter wept this couch blue. Her son's inheritance, a fabric afterlife full of language. Dear Robert, do you remember me? Before I had a body, I was winter wind that made you pray for spring by this fireplace. I touched your face and shook snow to the ground. And now, I play in your dust with the bees. Can you hear me? I feel you in the breeze. So that's me and Robert. Okay, I'm gonna read a selection from a sonnet sequence that I'm working on, which is what I applied to Outpost with, and it's called Safety is a Ritual. And the title really comes from thinking about how I have to construct safety on a day-to-day basis, and how transitioning and taking testosterone has made me think about my place in the lineage of men that are in my family. And so it's kind of a reintroduction to the men in my family. So I'm just gonna read through them. I've never done this before, so we're out here, we're present. But yeah, I'm just gonna read through them, so you don't need to clap till we get to the end. And yeah, let me start. Safety is a ritual. Oh, one thing too. It's a sonnet sequence. It's a sonnet crown, so the last line of the first sonnet is the first line of the next sonnet. Does that make sense? You'll hear it, so just want to count it. Safety is a ritual. I rub tea gel over the underworld jaguar tattooed on my shoulder and ask for protection. He asks for sacrifice, and I chemical a season of spring. I grow water lilies from mud and spit the past into a napkin. I feed him my train from Penn Station, a self I left on the platform, the goodbye from my mouth. Ticking from every inherited wristwatch, every black leather boxing bag my knuckles calloused against, and the names I held between my teeth. And in return, he stays to dance, holds my topical tunnel, wraps my knuckles in silk again and again. Safety is a ritual. Under my knuckles again and again, I swing at the bag, the bodies of men, how my dad liked to fight other boys when he was a teen, and where is that gene in me? I buy a stuffed golden retriever full of lavender from the hospital gift shop for my mom, and the staff call me her son. There it is on the whiteboard next to my phone number, son. And I'm 32 when I grip Abuelo's small gun, his machetes now rusted and resting in my tío's garages. Who gets them next? I am always in danger. Take my place in line. I can teach you how to keep your hands up. Safety is a ritual. I will teach you how to keep your hands up if you teach me how to sing The Cure's love song like you did at karaoke. The first night we met at Metropolitan, my shirt tight and buttoned like a tech bro. Too shy to sing, and I regret it. Still, we close the bar and you kiss me under the filthy awning. Till 4 a.m. trash trucks huff by and a man yells, "Get a room!" And we don't, even though it's December, which makes us press our coats together like we are the first T-boys to tongue this broken globe. And later, when you promise to protect me, the tall candles on your altar flicker. Safety is a ritual. I lean back and enter the deep churn of the barbershop seat when Larry asks if I'm on hormones and runs the blade to my chin between two puberties. Glitch the family line and call me Luis. I abuelo, I primo Luis. Remember the strip mall spa playdates with Jessica, the esthetician who waxed boyhood's upper lip blue-green using a popsicle stick? Larry, I am no simple answer body. Mom keeps curls from my first haircut in a Ziploc behind the Virgen in the closet. I keep coming here to see an ancient face, sweep my hair into dust, hold the mirror. Safety is a ritual. Sweep my hair into dust, hold the mirror to the cherub-cheeked Ralphie, who I name at the Fashion Valley Mall while Mom slips clearance boots on at Steve Madden. Ralphie is the part of me that flips pancakes, spreads peanut butter, no syrup, grows taller than his father, wears round glasses to drive west, cries into the Pacific. Say sorry to Ralphie. Dad, have you met my lack of apology? Over 100 boxing classes. Read the raps. This is your son, Ralphie, punching the bag, shifting hips, pouring water on your mother's headstone. Ralphie tends the altar, heals the old wound. Safety is a ritual. Ralphie tends the altar, heals the old wound of father, of son, with the Holy Spirit of Berreo in the motherland, tongue kissing outside of Travesura. We rub our bodies against each other so fucking good. The bar keeps an eye on us, their hands on my shaved head, the cumbia loud in our mouths. I'm a small-chested, soft-bellied god here in the ciudad heat, a kind of boy my father could never be. I pull my lover to me by their bleach blonde hair. I can't get enough of us in this neon light, flashing on our faces. We hunger for each other and eat and eat. Safety is a ritual. Hungry for each other in the June heat, I fasten silk around my lover's neck. A torso taught me on YouTube. Anyone else learn how to tie a tie on YouTube? Shout out to y'all. Okay, reliable. Whoever's man that is, thank you. More reliable than many men. Okay. Hungry for each other in the June heat, I fasten silk around my lover's neck. A torso taught me on YouTube. Somebody's husband, somebody's teen son. The mirror raises me. Look, it's Father's Day again, and since we are dads of 2 small beanie baby turtles, we celebrate at John's, the neighborhood Italian spot for pasta, with all the other dads who stuck around long enough to be praised. Salad in our teeth, splitting the tiramisu, table for 2, we toast to absence, looking like our fathers. Safety is a ritual. We look nothing like our fathers, watching eternal sunshine of the spotless mind from the bathtub. 2 February clouds in lavender water. I rest my back between your legs while 2 people forget each other. And time is a snowy bed you teach me how to make. Every morning I smell your sweaty pillow and feel God is really a stuffed turtle you buy me when we're apart. I'm Joel on this beach and you're Joel in the city, except for when we're both Mark Ruffalo, dancing in tidy whities while the living room floods with ocean water. Let me keep this. Safety is a ritual. Last one. And this is new. I wrote this while I was here in Vermont. Yay, Vermont! Love you, Vermont. Safety is a ritual. The flood doesn't touch what we keep in my mother's storage unit. Tall as it is, we stack ourselves together across time. Family photos in a red velvet gift box. The stuffed Christmas moose gets taller every visit. We rearrange memory. I handle the heavy furniture. Mom saves Abuela's hairbrush. I cry at the curly strands. Donate her silverware to Goodwill. I keep her bedside lamp until I can't. Take a broken part of the lampshade to remember the dappled light. It breaks into 2, and my mother keeps a piece. The comfort of being close to your mom. I leave home again and again and again. Thank you. Okay, this will be my last poem. Thank you everybody for being here. Truly, this is a special place and special community. And I've been waking up with so much gratitude. Okay, last poem. There's a lot of collective grief right now, but always. And I've been thinking about Palestine. I've been thinking about the Congo, I've been thinking about Sudan, and I've been thinking about how grief can be an estuary. And if folks, I think it's where the river meets the sea. There's like a part where the water kind of blends and braids. And so I'm thinking about grief that way and our collective grief braiding together. So this is called In the Estuary of Our Grief. And there's a epigraph by Dion Brand, and it is, I do not believe in time, I do believe in water. Show me who you mourn, and I'll show you where our water meets. I braid my reed to yours, river, your ocean, our brackish water turns the sediment. Oysters filter gallons of us, sun-blessed, the salty, these fluid bodies, a land escape. Whole ecosystems depend upon the rocky shores of our dead, cradled in my tidal mouth. When you land on this riverbank, muddy your talons, spill into me. Thank you, everybody. Come say hi, baby.
One more time, please. T-Dog approves. So I said this last year, like these are like remember when moments, and just to kind of skip back to kind of our mission. As this family produces work, we bring them back. And so when Alexis's book is out, they will be here, but you'll remember this. That was absolutely phenomenal. I really appreciate you. Our next poet, so 3 poets. Nico Amador is a poet, popular educator, and community organizer, also from San Diego, California, living in Bristol, Vermont. Shout out to California. His writing has appeared in Bettering American Poetry, Poem a Day, 14 Poems, West Branch, Poets Reading, The News, Fugue Journal, and elsewhere. His chapbook, on sale over there, Flower Wars, won the Ansaldúa Poetry Prize and was published by Newfound Press. As a graduate of Bennington College's MFA program just up the road, and somebody who previously helped to coordinate the ACLU's work on racial justice and prosecutorial reform in Bennington County, he's delighted to continue his relationship to this part of the state through this fellowship and to help create more spaces to support queer, trans, and BIPOC writers in Vermont. And just to give you a sense of how this portion of the work we do started, it happened last year. Unlike the fellows and residents, we tap these people as we move along, and I knew I wanted Nico to kind of be the inaugural Vermont Fellow, and I'm just so appreciative that you accepted, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say to us.
Can't believe we're in September, and September is almost over. Well, thank you again. It's really an honor to be the first person in this post for so many reasons, but I think especially because I was coming off a hard year when I was stepping into it, and as I'm sure all of you know, it's very easy to let your creative practice fall through the cracks when you're going through a hard time. And so the support from this fellowship has been amazing. I've been working with James Allen Hall, another alumni of Bennington College, on this manuscript through the program, and yeah, just couldn't ask for better support this year. What do I want to share about this? So I'm working on a poetry collection. The working title right now is Now But Not Without You. The title comes from the protest chant, so if you know the chant, if you've been at rallies, the like, what do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. And a lot of it has to do with lineages of trans activism, a kind of desire to re-presence trans people in the larger history of gay liberation, and just make an acknowledgement that a lot of that history has been written down and shared in ways that don't honor those trans ancestors and their role in that history. So that's a lot of where this project comes from. It's also about me and my identity as a trans writer, as someone who also identifies as a queer man, and trying to figure out how I navigate queer spaces. A lot of the kind of personal inspiration beyond the sort of larger vision for the project comes from the life and the legacy of Lou Sullivan, who is a trans activist. His published diaries are over there on the table, so that was my selection. In the 1970s, Lou Sullivan went looking for information that might validate his gender and sexual orientation as someone who didn't fit the expected transsexual profile because he was attracted to men and identified as gay. His biography notes that after 6 years of research, he found no medical or popular literature on gay trans men. Despite the seeming lack of precedence for his personal identity or place in the gay community, Sullivan eventually pursued transition, established himself within San Francisco's queer enclaves, and documented in his diaries in great detail his many sexual explorations with men and with trans femmes. Lou Sullivan passed away from AIDS-related complications in 1991 when he was only 39. So I really really want to honor him through this manuscript as someone who made my life and existence possible. And one way that I do that in this text is work with his diaries and form what I call diary centos, a sort of new diary entry made up of his lines and also lines from my own journals. So I think that's enough just to give you the context, and I'm really excited to share these pieces with you. We will run away. In SF, it will all be new. Diary cento number 1. I feel so pretty or something. I've been wearing apricot nail polish. Soon I'll find a boy that I'll need just as much as the radio. He will be very thin and irresponsible. He'd ask if I had whips. I'd say, you'll see. I like black leather and big black motorcycles. I'd like to be English with an accent. I'd like to be a famous writer of romance and love. 2 men landed on the moon today, and tomorrow I'm gonna dress like a boy and walk down some cool streets. I hope wanting and saying this is okay. Why wouldn't it be? I don't always want to look down and see my own body. I want to be a beautiful man making love to another beautiful man. Want to run my hand over his back. I can't understand it. 2 people sitting on the moon. I wish there was a fucking gender clinic in this asshole city. With the Satyrs, and the Satyrs in this context is a gay motorcycle club that was founded in the 1950s. The road was axiomatic, horizoned as a man's smile. In every portrait, I was a reluctant sweetheart, my face turned away. It's possible to be half alone, here and not ever arriving, a blur beneath the brow of concrete girders, industrial sky, post-war ambitions big and fading, like all the names I wouldn't keep. Time reshuffled, split my deck in sevenths. I drew a solitary ace, then a run of brothers, outland and briefly overlapping in the anywhere of fog and wild hyacinth, affections passed along with unfixed coordinates, or pocketed like a note or number, a former lover's teasing photograph, and say this was or is part myth, part record of the life I led, I leave you with, an open dedication with maps to fill, a world for you to render. Boots. I let the dark inhabit me with its grammar, a speech made of objects. I dress apart before I know what it is I'm playing at. Step into a basement bar where I'm the moon sliding into another planet's shadow, one of two worlds that orbit but never touch. The room fills with men familiar to each other, and it would only take the subtlest nod to call me over. If there's anything I'm seeking, it's completion. That eclipse where gesture and fantasy collide, a form to lead me there, a father. The spell of his warm hand on the back of my neck. Until then, I withdraw to study their movements from a distance, and it's true, I can know the force of their beauty from where I stand too. Each night arrives with its many theaters, and I enter them there and here and not. Portrait of a verb in the still black hours. In boots, what moonlights as a rough endearment, approximate sun. The docks. Night empties into its single articles, moon giving the dark its patina, the ragged clouds their edge. Water rolled partially back from the docks, empty except two men, wind and shadow, untethered, touching whatever volunteers itself, a mouth, a waist, softest parts of the body drawn out, exposed, sought. Their sounds, separate waves breaking against the wooden pilings as I walk towards them, finishing almost like an argument. Call it longing, a narrow bridge that extends the picture. Here, under a description just as starless and bewildering, I surrender the fantasy in order to come closer to its real grasp, an experience less pleasurable than what adorns it. One can join and leave without having spoken, still dumb and anonymous, small rush followed by more cold, new doubt, a bit of sand in my teeth. I hope he's as pretty tomorrow as he was yesterday. Diary Cento number 2. It was hard when I held him down not to press my lips against his. But I felt as I did as a child for some reason, determined to make an enemy of every moment. I felt like Sheila again, always crashing in the same car, a project of breaking set in motion, the refusal of the kiss. His hair, his mouth, his waist, they all terrorized me. The movement, a game of arrows, he, I, the successive defeats. How am I doing on time? Well, this one's fun. I want to say for this. I write a lot of short poems. Maggot Rhyme. Loves the Burning Boy, Elizabeth Bishop. Obstinate Boy, Hot Mess. Sun on Bare Ribs, Cigarettes. Arm Tattooed, Sailor. Salty Mouth, Failure. Pure Pervert, Shipwreck. Ugly Crier, Pretty Neck. Out of Money, Always New. Big Dreams, Trade School. Home Late, Stumble In. Text Your Ex, Tailspin. Some things you just write to amuse yourself. Yeah, I think I'm good with this. A-Train. Oh city, I'm yours now, part of your sparkling machinery. I shove in closer on this aisle of plastic seats, my shoulders squeezed, my phone buzzing, my hand grazing the hand of a stranger, like sex happening accidentally in public, like an instant poem. Frank O'Hara on his way to lunch, here and forgotten. The bell rings, the silver doors open, 15 seconds of 80s pop blast the car, and then we're off again. 2 stops down to Chelsea, where the pretty men float in, cloning whatever's fashionable. Black jeans, white sneakers, clean cologne. I'm surrounded, held captive by their lingering stares. Beautiful for a moment, inconsequential, as most men are to each other. Here and forgotten. The bell rings, the door opens. It's enough to have been among the short-lived, the sharp clatter, the rodents and the sparrows, a single sad stiletto perched on top of a waste bin. The insole listens, an old compact disc still plays. Wind turns the pages of an encyclopedia. At every station, the announcer's voice is a trans voice, speaking over us with authority. I remember my wonder. I'm swept along with it. Anybody could be anybody. The time is 4:23. Just a couple more. Rent as a Man, Diary Cento number 4. The excuse to stay home is convenient, but it's been too long, not since August, that I had any fun. July since anyone tied me up. I liked waking up in C's house and getting cleaned up in the morning alongside his things. Those brief displays of tenderness, our mustaches brushing against each other, wet mustache. Our chests pressed against each other, buttering his toast in the morning. Cologne, razor, beard oil. At work, things were slow. Saturday and Sunday, fires, bugs, rooms full of people I wasn't allowed into. I tried. I think I'm not going to text T, but I am going to wait and text R and maybe S, I hope C, and I will have more time together, but not right now. It's impossible to get that feeling back. I'm obsessed with the texture of our prior interactions, the revelations happening all at once. Towards the end of the collection, as I'm imagining it right now, it gets a little bit more activist-y, and I'm glad to get to share a couple of these poems also. Boots, my companionable nihilist, optimism disguised as disdain. You delight in the rain and the rough earth, the march of spring and its spectacle of wigged heads. Daddy to a daffodil, a kiss for a daisy. What a pleasure it is to tread where you're unwanted, to play the butch number inside a blossoming riot. You flag freak. You speak with the smirk of wayward daughters and the camp of a hustler's mustache, like an accessory to a list of petty crimes or an escape vehicle idling just out of sight. Black as a tinted window, untethered as time. I make an inheritance of your intolerable passions and the memory of fire in the village, a late style that is both theater and genuine discontent. With you, I trouble the boundary between history and the present state, track Durden from the pulsing otherworld, enter each room with an attitude, and a bark from your 2 ugly tongues. This poem is entitled With Sylvia, and it's about the trans activist Sylvia Rivera. Yeah. Any unruly place can resemble paradise, an ugly disco, the home I made inside a tent by the river. Each day, a new face to put on, a disastrously blonde hairdo, the dream of myself louder, more captivating than the forces calling me toward a fatal end. I blotted out the sirens, leashed the sleepless dragon. I paid my $1 for a drink and the cheap glamour of the lights above Times Square. Good enough. my thrifted gown a prophylaxis against the mayor's petty ordinances, encroaching developers, the Mary Johns left hot-faced and murderous with shame. Some shit, I said to Marcia, her flowers large as gramophones. When we marched from Washington Place up 6th Avenue, I was right as I ever hoped to be remembered, nearly ecstatic. No knowledge but the knowledge of my own long-limbed power. I shouted into the parade, power, not as the men did. I wasn't asking. Power, like a star chewing a hole in the sky. If there's anything I regret, it's the crowds I left untroubled. Know what I mean? I wanted action. I wanted the silhouette of my body in a gold jumpsuit, and I wanted to offend anyone willing to trade in for the soft consolation of a wedding and a life in the suburbs. A respectable life. A village without me in it. Okay, last one. This one was written after the visual artist's installation Strange Fruit, which harkens to the song, but in this context was meant as a memorial to people who have died of AIDS. Some of you may have seen it, but it's when it's put together, she takes like the skin off real fruits and sews them back together with colored yarn and then leaves them, and so part of the impact of the installation is its decomposure over time, so it's just kind of like left to rot. So that was the starting place for this poem. Statute of limitations. Only the fruit expires, but the length of grief is incalculable, persisting inside and around. A red yarn stitches me to you. Is this okay? I thought I might just stand here for a while and listen. Another visitor drapes mournfully around the edges. If no one was watching, would we all dance? Except the feeling is mute, the image is too still. I step away from its walls to the next room where the conceit is open, the space narrow but generously windowed, pigeons at this height and below. Noise rises from the wet pavement, a demolition and trucks, a city dragging the weight of its losses behind it. I'm sensitive to what can't be imagined from this vantage, about your casual activity, your comings and goings. To my imagined lovers, I asked, where did you stand and what were you doing then? Purchasing oranges, exchanging numbers, kissing someone briefly and almost criminally inattentive to traffic. I keep learning the body is too indecent a record. It can only love what it touches, forgets what it knew. And language, more interference. At best, it recalls the shadows, extends them perhaps, in the places we've walked for a bit. Outside the museums, where life is, an ongoing and radical art. Thank you.
All right, that was fantastic again. I was going to ask you to pan the crowd, but you did this, so I'm out of here. Okay. Bernardo Wade. Yeah. Asked for this. Going last. So I think this is about to be appropriately shut down. Okay, so Bernardo was born and raised in New Orleans. Most recently, the recipient of the Stegner Fellowship from Stanford University. He has been the editor of the Indiana Review and serves as assistant editor and poetry editor for Obsidian, Literature and Arts in the African Diaspora. In his words, quote, though he's published in a bunch of literary journals no one in his family has ever heard of, they remain proud of him, especially when they are featured in the poems. His first full-length poetry collection is forthcoming from Lookout Books of UNC Wilmington, a fantastic press. He's infatuated with Ed Roberson's questions, can you OD on life? Awarded the 2021 Puerto del Sol Poetry Prize, the 2023 Third Coast Poetry Prize, and the Academy of American Poets Vera Strube Poetry Prize. He has words in The Nation, Crazy Horse, Black Warrior Review, Guernica, Cincinnati Review, Southern Review, Ecotone, and elsewhere. Do your work.
All right. Ooh. Yo, if I'm gonna sum up this this residency a little bit. Honestly, it's just this shit. Like, actually, I'm kind of annoyed at y'all. I gotta be real, because y'all fucking my routine up. For 30 days, I didn't have to put on real pants. I've been chilling. No, y'all don't understand. Like, this is an opportunity that's special. I apply to a lot of stuff, as you can see, with that laundry list of crap he just mentioned. But this is one of the things I really wanted, and I'm so happy that I got the opportunity to do this. I mean, Mayor, you know, such a great host. Tanner, incredible. My guy, Ashley, you know, Hillary. I love all y'all. And of course, Alexis, Jesus. All right. Oh, shit, let me put a plug for the books. Now, I'm going to put y'all on game. I went to Indiana University, as you heard. I was the editor for the Indiana Review. I had a project that took me 2.5 years to do. If you're in the literature game at all, there was a fellow by the name of Henry Dumas. He got killed by the police in New York in 1968, I think. Anyways, long story short, I have unpublished, never before read Henry Dumas in that journal with maybe 12 or 14 of the best black avant-garde poets of our time. Again, I'm not selling it for Indiana. I think you should have it because it's artifice. I'm really proud of it. All right, here we go. I'm gonna read new shit. This is some stuff that I worked on while I was here. And yeah, we're gonna start here. This is a poem called Before She Blooms. Not long after the fight, my ex biked over and murdered our plants, leaving them in little explosions of terracotta and soil. When I found the maypop, the spiderwort, the bird of paradise, and all the others I was learning to care for, I was confused, because it was she who had loved them like children. Only the wisteria, burrowed deep with its poisonous leaves and sturdy neck, withstood the kind of fury I knew wasn't her. It was me, not the plants she wanted to leave, feeling something, anything, like how she felt, she later confessed. But it takes a special devotion to rid oneself of an invasive species that speaks in I'm sorry's. Post-massacre, a few weeks later, after we woke up, did a few lines of blow, made love, in costume for Fat Tuesday, I found her outside watering the wisteria. Might be another year before she blooms, she said, like she knew. She'd kick dust before its purple flowers bruised the sky. The house, now strangled by its vine. Hold on 1 second. So, I don't know if y'all know this, but Frankie Beverly died last week. I'm from New Orleans. That's a big deal for us. I've been going to Jazz Fest for the past 36 years, and they have closed out Jazz Fest for at least 20 years. I've probably been to 19 of those. I mean, it's a tradition in our family. So R.I.P. Frankie Beverly. But anyways, I'm going to read a poem, but I'm going to play you a part of a song. just in case you're not hip to this song. This is a Golden Time of the Day by Maze and Frankie Beverly. All right, that's our guy, Frankie. So this poem I wrote 2 days after Frankie Beverly sang his last song on Jazz Fest stage. And I was walking by this little Wednesday day at the square at New Orleans. And anyways, this poem is called Listening to Nigel Hall, who is an R&B singer in New Orleans, covered Golden Time of the Day at Lafayette Square. You know what's funny about the kitchen? My mom is a chef. She has a catering company my whole life, and so I've been fighting with the kitchen noise my whole life. All right, here we go. A butterfly blows bubbles over the crowd. This is the Big Easy. Her purple vans loosening their tongues, each step in rhythm. Nigel is off key like this poem, and it's beautiful. How the butterfly's partner has a picture frame around his neck. We are emerging from his imagination. The four horsemen hold up their squad car. Unfortunately, they are beautiful too. One officer, palms swaying with the sky, looks above and offers his heart. So I look above, but I don't find something soothing like heaven or any other metaphor to save what's broken. No, my mother emerges from my imagination. She holds a glass of wine and weighs the possibility of rain. She says, don't get excited. I'm not here to drop tears or be your little muse. Can't you see? It's shining. All right, here we go. I'm gonna read a poem. This poem's not even finished. And so, again, the cool thing about these poems, I've never read these poems to a crowd before. Like, all these versions are brand new, so maybe the other ones, but we'll see. But I'm gonna read this one. There's a fourth part to this poem. I'm only gonna read the first three. This poem is called The Angels of Thirst, and it's in 3 sections. It's kind of about alcoholism and addiction. The Angel of Thirst, 1. It's only noon, and the vodka pouring out Jamal's funk tells me he's been bullshitting, that he isn't sober. But that doesn't mean I don't ask again if he's willing to start over, to admit he's powerless, that he's really done. He says, yes, King, like he's not too distracted swiping right on all the girls he'll never meet. So before he looks up, I'm on him close as a kiss, love tapping his chin. I think, why are we like this? 10 years ago, I was Jamal, brushing my teeth in the shower to avoid the mirror, coughing up bile each morning, dying over and over again as I crawled the mountain of my thirst, only to find at the summit some reason to slip back down. That is, till I slipped into handcuffs and felt my whole life melt into help. Help. I promise, God. Please. I'll do anything. Fucking anything. But get clean. 2. I only failed 47 drug tests before the fog lifted and they ushered me before the choir of chattering monkeys they call rehab. Alcohol stilled the voices. It became your solution. It became your God. Said the counselor I gained to graduate me, I know, a few days earlier. An angel of sweet good old boys, he never skipped chest day or an opportunity to make one of the guys from his group tear up and punch something. His office wall, a graveyard for fists. It seemed to tease whoever spoke, as anger does. And I worried how many of us who maybe struck that wall the way we'd been were asking violence to answer for how it raised us, graceless and afraid. Bobbing and weaving his suggestions, the counselor said many of the wall's holes honored those who had already met their end, and that we, no matter our belief, looked just like them. 3. 2 years in, and I found death doesn't knock or ring, he visits in duller moments. Like I'm singing in the shower and suddenly, bam! I'm thinking, fuck it, maybe it'll be quick. Then I can almost see myself lying there, all smiles, dimples stiff. And when I tell this to Mr. Ray, he doesn't flinch or grimace or even sigh. He just points to my heart and says all the shit of your life is blocking you from its light. I tell him I'm through then I'll pretend, fuck it. If that's what it takes, I'll ask whatever God. The God of doorknobs, the God of toilets, the God of coffee makers, the God of I don't care. And before I can carry on, this 80-year-old white man rests his hand on my shoulder with such tenderness. All my stupid pride goes limp. And I feel tears, real ones, fall. Not to the floor, no, but deep inside someone desperate enough to live. All right, there will be a fourth part to that, though. All right, I'm gonna lighten it up just a little. All right, how many people here ever been in love? How many people regret it? How many people said that was a crazy time? What was I thinking? I got a poem for us. All right, this poem is called "The Delirium Has His Way." I'm halfway down the stone stairs, flat on my back, when I realize I'm so fucking in love. My bruised tailbone doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I've blown half my savings on a 4-day trip to Paris with a stranger who says she ain't ready to commit. Tonight, delirium tastes of pate and cheap burgundy, and I don't know much French, but the slimy way he keeps repeating, s'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît, s'il vous plaît, with his hands all over me makes me believe I'm a beautiful scene. Cherry blossoms raging into the sign, or a storm kissing Sacré-Cœur. I'm nothing but a lover boy crooning after a dream. But some dreams have braces, drive a Mazda 626, and make me say it, I love you, every time I get off the phone. And I really feel like maybe someone out there is finally mine. And delirium shows me our kids, and the house we would raise them in, and my perfect job, and I think, damn, that was easy. But then one day, my dream tells me she doesn't believe in dinosaurs and thinks the earth is flat. And delirium shifts the whole fucking world just like that. All right, another new one. I am cursing. Sorry. My kids. Oh my God. All right. This is called another one I've never said out loud. Let's go. Self-portrait of a black walnut tree. Mr. George, an old white man we moved next door to after the divorce, came raging out of his house one afternoon and screamed, "Get out of my yard!" And half the kids already scattered like they knew his side of the driveway has no graceful play. But I thought maybe he felt bad because soon after he slid me a few dollars, along with a note that read, "Protect your mother, do good by her." And he wasted no time. The next morning, he hailed me over with his cane, like he was rounding up a flock of pigeons. But I just looked to the sky and prayed God might bless us with some rain. It was so hot, the weatherman kept telling New Orleans to stay inside with our funky-ass window units, so I was thinking, nah, Mr. George must have a death wish. When he shuffled me into his furnace of a shed, past 60 years of rustic golf clubs, yard signs, and old tools, just to pull out this ancient mower that wouldn't start till he seduced it with a few son of a bitches and a couple kicks to its head. He was a hard ass. I had to mow the lines straight and careful, as I still do today in Bloomington, where this huge black walnut tree leaves all these fragrant tennis ball-sized fruit hiding in the tall grass, and of course, at a cocktail party in this crunchy town like this one, obsessed with its trees. Some dude tells me how every time my mower bazookas the husk brain all over the lawn, I spread this toxin that creates a kind of territory around its neighbors, which feels a little reminiscent of how Mr. George paid a naive, light-skinned walnut to watch over his yard. All right. I'm gonna do this one and maybe one more. This is called This Shit Is Not Interesting. Sometimes when it's this dark, I light a match and let it burn my fingertips while I watch the flame. This is what I know about memory. It flickers when it feels like it. And sometimes it drags me out to that bare-knuckle night I left work, dapping up Nick for his daiquiris. He had a toothy smile. He's gone now. A story for another time. I really should have stayed for one more drink, but I left to find Slim, feeling those achy chills beginning to creep their way down the back of my neck. Here, I want you to remember Richard Pryor's Live on the Sunset Strip. His first show after he lit himself on fire, you know, where he takes the match, and at the end, he says, "What is that?" Richard Pryor running down the street, and like smoke, we're freed by another's despair. Most people will pay good money for a seat to watch the first stone thrown at their boogeyman's teeth. But this shit is not interesting. To the ones who know, off stage, Pryor danced on the teeth of his deceits, slipping into spells of God, please. And I, who disappeared that week, got her text and flew across town because I knew this time she was serious. She'd thrown my shit behind the dumpster, a place I won't soon forget. Hold on. Let's say a prayer. For the brothers who don't make it, God, bless those whose hot blood finds a blue light, knives through the night. Amen to the men who bare teeth, who fight. Thus, when I turned down the one way on Durgenois Street, the same street 9 years later, I mourned a beloved killed by a drunk driver, a driver who could have been me. I saw those cops and I thought run, but then thought gun, so instead I pulled over thinking, shit, I'm cooked. I just knew it. It was my time to boogeyman into the light. So I lifted my hands just right. Fingers spread so wide, you might have thought I was a flame. I can imagine Pryor. Lights for the crowd. The match smelled like goodnight. When I heard 12 close the car door, I felt the weight of Slim's package. Enough for a bid, wedged in my waistband, hidden unlike the stuff behind the dumpster. Then all I hear is move and you're done. Before the cuffs snapped my wrists, he pulled my shirt just so, and I felt my waistband flick. Fuck. Fell from my lips as I watched this little bag of powder fall to the ground. He smiled, and I heard a round of applause. Pryor holds the match, and I swear I see him flinch. I wasn't surprised when I saw resisting arrest on those multicolored sheets. Ain't but a few hours of peacocking, but before I felt that familiar ache. Cold sweats, jonesing. A yearn for death filled my stomach as I crouched down near a man who after 30 minutes of complaining about his baby mama's expired tags, noticed the animal writhing. I lie so childlike, I can almost taste my mother's gumbo on Christmas Day. And then I pray she never sees me this way. I know. This shit is not interesting unless you know the warmth that comes when a stranger takes his coat and covers your body on a jailhouse floor. All right, I'm gonna do one more. Close this out. Not too long. I can find it, sorry. All right, I'm gonna do two more actually, sorry. So that poem I just read has a continuation. And I got arrested that night, and then I got out that next morning. And so this is a poem called 10 Minutes Before They Released Me from Orleans Parish Prison. So this is me leaving. I was moved to a holding cell beyond the racket of the other cages, where a man, rock bottom with the floor, sat working his tongue, moving the blood from his lip down his throat. His eyes seemed to crawl toward a kind of mercy in the wall. But it was the latex gloves, tied and filled with days of his waste, which sunk my head into my hands. For our mothers who'd cared for us and our stench this way. She'd have held him, but I couldn't stomach much more than the cruelty of looking away. Ashamed that we, broken but still our own, were desperate for what I believed decent to be left alone. All right, I'm gonna read this one because I don't know if I really read one about my dad, and the whole book is about him, really. So this is called In the Wake. We just had a little hurricane down in New Orleans, and so I was thinking about this poem a little bit. This poem's called In the Wake of Ida. Hurricane Ida happened about 3 or 4 years ago, and my dad happened to not be there, or he had just moved out of his apartment, and that hurricane destroyed the apartment, as you'll see in the poem. But so he did just kind of make it out. So this is called In the Wake of Ida, and I just want to say thank y'all. This has been great. When my father calls, I tell him the damage. How the bricks, so many of them now in the street, lie prostrate, faithful to the earth again. How Ida darkened the sky, throwing light at our feet like doubloons, until she swept the city beneath her eye, trapping us, like the tree limb that fell through the window into his kitchen. He pines. I know he'll take this as a sign. Now in LA, he says, look at God, like a man spared. I want to say, look, you are gray. The world is drowning, and I am afraid. Can't you see these ruins, your mistakes? Instead, I say, I love you. And notice the dawn's first light break. Such innocence. This is the real madness with a hurricane. The next day, the sun comes out like a parent, like nothing ever happened. Thank you.
Bernardo, stand up. Alexis, Nico, please celebrate them. and look at the books. Connie's well versed in terms of who chose what books, so you can kind of ask them that. For those that choose to donate, if you don't want to end up getting a shout out on our website, just in the PayPal or the Venmo, say that. Or if you want the name to show up differently, or if you want to honor someone else, just write that and I'll make sure that that happens. But I appreciate everyone for being here, and especially the three of you. This was absolutely fantastic. All right, let's mingle.
Thank you.